Hi, this is Brandon Moon with dragontailtenkara. I want to welcome you to fly tying night tonight. Tonight we're going to be tying up an absolutely beautiful fly for you, one that we believe will catch a lot of fish for you and will be very um, enjoyable to tie for you as well. And it'll look really beautiful in your box. This is a Mendori or a hen hackle Jun Kebari. The Jun just means regular hackle, so like my understanding is like a futsu stiff hackle, or the Mendori would be a Jun Kebari as well, where it has a rearward facing wrap and tie. So this is tied in a violet color. I love violet. It's a shade of purple, which is my favorite color to fish. And then the claret hackle adds some great characteristics as well. And you'll kind of see at the end a little bit, but violet is naturally somewhat UV reflectant as it's on that ultraviolet spectrum of the light. So with that, we want to invite you to like your favorite video. Hopefully this is one of them. Make sure you comment, ask us a question, or leave us a comment, say hello. We love interacting with you guys and engaging with you. Please make sure and hit the subscribe or like our Facebook page. Make sure you hit the bell to receive future notifications so that we can engage with you and you are able to see and find our content as it comes out. We strive very hard to put out quality content, and it means a lot to us when you guys do this and engage with us. It helps us a lot. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. This fly we're going to tie on the Moonlit ML062. This one's in a size 12. Tie this in a size 10 through 16, whatever one you like. And just enjoy the process. Show us your artistic abilities here, or expression. We're going to go ahead and put our hook in the vise here, and I'm tying on the new upcoming Nirvana rotary vise, so we'll introduce that to you here in the future. I'm tying with 12/0 violet Semperfli Classic wax. Normally I'd tie this with an 8/0 thread, but I only have 12/0 in this color here. So I am using a Stonefo Elite disc drag bobbin. It has tension control, so it gives great tension to the thread and allows me to have great control of my thread as well. It's very comfortable in hand. So I'm just going to wrap this rearward, and I'm using that thread, tag thread, to push each wrap up into the previous wrap. I'm going to go and wrap this just past the bend of that hook. It's going to give the effect of an insect that's kind of hunched over, trying to emerge out of its shuck. So for the ribbing on this, we're using Semperfli's bright silver 0.2 millimeter wire. I had some of that out. There it is. So I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to tie this in at that point, but I'm going to run that wire up about 3/4 of the way of this hook shank, and this is going to be where my thread wrap body is going to be. So we'll just secure that in all the way forward. The wire helps me build up a little bit of a body. And I'm just going to create a little bit of a thread taper. We'll wrap almost all the way back with touching wraps again to the back of our fly, and then forward again, We're going to do this quite a few times with this 12-aught. If you had 8-aught, it would take a little bit less, and it would build up a little bit thicker body fly. I like a slimmer body, but some people really like the fat body Kebari. And you could do the same thing with this. So I'm going rearward again, almost back to where I went the last time, and then we'll go forward again. My neighbor's going somewhere, his loud truck. Now I'll just wrap backwards again to almost where I had stopped the previous time. This smaller thread does give me a little bit smoother taper to my fly. You can see I'm probably about 2/3 of the way, but I'm going to be tying in my thorax on this as well, which will take up some of that space. Do this a couple more times. This just creates a nice little taper to this fly. I do want that to go just a little bit further forward, so I'll just create that right there. Now I'm going to take and half hitch this because I'm going to use the rotary feature on this vise to wrap this wire. That is going to help me get a nice even segmentation to this. It's going to progressively increase its distance with each wrap. I'll wrap that over. Now I'm just going to secure that in. Now, like I said, I don't use scissors. I'm just going to helicopter that out of there after I secure it down. Okay, now I'm going to take some gray, natural gray ostrich. I'm going to take 3 of these ostrich feathers. Okay, I'm just going to tie these in right there where my wire was at. I'm going to pull that back, just wrap over the top of it. Now I can trim out. I've got a few little pieces here. Let's trim those out. Now I'm just going to take this ostrich. I'm actually going to wrap it down my thread. Okay, and this is going to, you can see it's kind of flaring the ostrich fibers out, but it's also going to make it more durable, and it's going to give me more control as I wrap this thorax with this ostrich. So I'm just going to hold that, and I'm going to wrap my thorax in place there. And this thorax on this fly, don't want it to go forward. The thorax on this fly does a couple things. It adds that thorax to the insect, but it also is going to help flare out your hackle. Okay, so I'm just going to secure that down, put a little thread base there. I pull it back just so that I can kind of pull those fibers out of the way a little bit. So I've got a nice buggy thorax here. So I'm going to take a whiting red label hen. This is a claret dyed grizzly hen saddle. Okay, so I'm just going to take a fiber out of there. I've already pulled my fiber out, and I've already prepped it. But when you're measuring this, you're going to flare this hackle out, and you want that hackle to go from that tie-in point down to basically the back of your body on your fly, maybe just a little bit further. Okay, so you can see I've got this tie-in point. I'm going to pull these fibers down like so. Okay, and there's my tie-in point. And the reason I pulled all these fibers off here is when I put this and I tie this in right here, and I tie it with the stem facing rearward because I'm going to palmer that thread rearward. So I tie that, secure it in. Now I'm just going to trim this out. I don't want that long hackle stem gets in the way, so I'm going to trim it down. My favorite hackle pliers are these tie fly tweezers. They don't look like anything special, but they grip better than any other hackle plier I've used. They're light, so it allows me to wrap better with cleaner wraps. Now you can see I put my thread over here to the side, and that's because I want to get a nice, really clean, seamless wrap on this. So I don't want to capture any fibers. Now when I wrap this, that bare stem is what is going to be hitting the hook shank. Okay, and I'm going to keep pulling all those fibers rearward. You can see they're already flaring backwards, and I'm going to make sure I don't capture any fibers, and that's going to also palmer the hackle fiber rearward. Well, I say that about my tie fly tweezers, and then I slip one out. Go figure. But we'll just start rewrapping that. Again, I'm palmering this rearward. You can see it's a way cleaner wrap by pulling that stem off, or taking those barbs off that stem. I'm pulling fibers backwards as I'm wrapping, which makes it easier to not capture them in each wrap with that stem. But that stem is just capturing that. And this hackle is a little bit smaller than normal. You know, when you push it back, it's going to go all the way back. You could use a little bit bigger hackle stem on this, or fiber. So I'm just going to wrap this. I want to try and make sure not to capture those hackle fibers as I'm doing this. I've got it around twice over there. Now I'm just going to pull it backwards. Now I'm just going to wrap and finish securing that in. Now I can trim that out. You can see just how clean that wrap is. Okay, this is going to give you great pulsing action. I could have made my thorax just a little smaller too. I don't stress overly over that too much. Now I'm just going to whip finish this. I'm going to do a 3-turn whip. 1, 2, and 3. You can put a little bit of super glue. We do and use the Loctite super glue, and you can put a little bit of that on your thread before you whip finish. That's going to help secure your knot as well. But on these, I actually like to take just a little bit of UV glue. Not a lot. I'll just make sure and even that out over my thread. This does a few things. It's going to protect your knot if you're worried about the knot, but it kind of gives it a little bit of UV on that head. And you can see that threads, that violet threads a little bit UV. Even that claret's got a little bit of UV characteristics in it. Kind of glows a little bit. So I'm just going to cure that head there on there. And there you go. This is our violet Mendori Jun Kebari. So we hope you enjoyed this pattern. We hope you will like your favorite video. Make sure you leave us a comment. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell to receive future notifications. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a great evening.